Hello, everybody. It's High Priest Star Soul of the Sacred Circle Coven and the Araconian Wiccan tradition. Today, I'd like to talk to you about forgiveness. Regardless of any kind of faith, be it Buddhist, Christian, Wiccan, pagan, Hindu, they all have one thing in common: forgiving other people. And more importantly, forgiving yourself. Because what a lot of people fail to realize is you need forgiveness, or else you're harming yourself. Forgiveness comes in many ways. It comes from realizing that mistakes are made on both parties, because I don't care who you are, there's always two sides to an argument. It's realizing that everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes are really, really big ones. But in order to get past those mistakes, you've got to realize something. If you're not forgiving yourself and forgiving those people who have wronged you in some way, you are chaining yourself to that individual until you're able to get past it. People that have beat you up, people that have stole from you, people that have, let's use a strong one here, murdered someone that you love. These are hard things to forgive. Some people say that they are unforgivable. But I'm here to tell you, the goddess and God have told me something. You have to find some way to forgive people. Otherwise, you give energy into the actions that happen. You're not able to move past these things. And if you can't move past these things, how do you expect to move on in other things? To see the beauty of life, you have to be able to love yourself. And that comes from being able to just honestly forgive yourself. Forgive others. Think of the worst thing that has ever been done to you. And yeah, it may be something truly horrific. But you gotta think. I'm gonna use some of my chaplain work, for example. One day, I was doing some chaplain work to an inmate. And that inmate confessed to me that he had raped somebody. Now, I instantly recoiled. I was just like, whoa, that's pretty rough, man. That's pretty rough. And then the man explains to me that he was drunk. He didn't know what he was doing, which still is not an excuse. But there's another reason why there's a spiritual truth of treat your body as a temple, because if you're doing drugs and doing alcohol, you're not going to be in the frame of mind to be a good person. But back to the subject, the man tells me he raped somebody. He has cried about it every day. I think he is truly one of those people that was indeed remorseful of his actions. And an amazing thing happened to him. He gets a letter. And I see this guy about once a month, if that, depending on how things are going. And he comes to me one day when we're having one of the supervised circle meetings. And he asks me something. Do you think I'm worthy of being forgiven? And he's crying, full blown in tears. And I look at him, I'm like, well, I've prayed on this, and the goddess tells me that if you are truly repentant and truly penitent of what you did, they're going to forgive you. You obviously have your karmic ramifications, which, ergo, you're in prison for a long time. And then he starts crying, and he tells me, I just don't think I'm worthy of what happened. And I'm like, well, what happened? Have you had a vision or an epiphany of something? He shows me a letter his victim wrote him, telling him that she forgave him. She needed to forgive him so she could move on. And at that moment, I realized something. The goddess is right. Forgiveness for the victim allowed her to move on, allowed her to accept what happened and overcome it. And she did detail in the letter also that, it taught her to be more self-aware and dress appropriately, to where she's not flaunting everything she's got to make herself a victim again. I still feel that that's one of those acts that just, it's truly horrific. And even as a priest, it's hard for me to even preach on it. But the one thing that I got out of reading that letter and experiencing and feeling the emotions coming from that man, he was forgiven. He was forgiven by his victim. He was forgiven by the goddess. But the poor man has yet to forgive himself. In a way, you could see that's karma. In a way, you could see that's his personal hell. But the point of this sermon is, you've got to forgive yourselves. You've got to forgive others. Think of the most horrific things and then try to forgive yourself for it. But that, just talking to that man, seeing what he had been through, I have to admit, I had my sympathies. The empath in me got the better of me. And what I realized is all people are worthy of being forgiven. If they truly mean it, if they truly want it. And in those acts of forgiveness, we cut the chains that tie us to events that plague us, that haunt us. And when we are finally muster that strength, because it's not going to happen over time, ladies and gentlemen. It's not something I can tell you today and you're going to do tomorrow. But when you finally come to a point where you can truly forgive yourself and forgive those that wronged you, you don't have to forget what happened, but you can grow from what happened. Through this, we find ways to love ourselves, accept the choices that we've made, accept the things that have happened to us, and grow from it. The lady in that letter is now teaching self-defense. She's helped save people because of that incident. Yeah, it was horrific. It's deplorable. But she forgave. The goddess forgives. And it's helping her make a difference for others, giving them the strength to overcome things that have happened to them. And that was something she expressed to him. Because at the end of the letter, she honestly thanked him. As horrible as this may be, I thank you for what happened because you opened my eyes. I dressed inappropriately. I flirted inappropriately. And I knew you were drunk. I knew. I could smell it on your breath. Her exact words. But regardless, it happened. It's made her a stronger person. It's helped her find Christianity, which, it's okay, because people need spirituality. But the guy that I'm trying to talk to, he has yet to forgive himself. And he's got a long time to reflect on that. Again, I go back to forgiveness. I've talked to people that have killed people. Similar stories. Acts of rage, finding your wife cheating, finding your husband cheating, somebody breaking into your house, and instead of taking care of it then, people actually hunting these people down. Now, there's a difference between protecting your family and carrying out an act of vengeance. Because vengeance is not going to get you anywhere. Vengeance is for the gods, not us. We rely on the laws of man to protect us. Call the cops. Let them do it. Sure, if you have to protect yourself, that's the law of nature. You're protecting yourself and your family. But make sure you're doing it appropriately. But again, love, forgiveness, that is what will make you a better person. That is what will help make this world a better place. You can't go around hating everybody, hating everything around you because you've had a bad day. Because at the end of everything you do, every little detail is tied to a choice you made. If you chose not to go to school, you're probably not going to have a good job. You're probably not going to be making that much money. And then you're going to blame everybody else for everything that's going wrong, when in fact the choice is you chose not to go. You're going to say, oh, I didn't have the money, I couldn't afford it. Well, guess what? Neither could I. That's why I have student loans. It's helped me go into nursing, and it's helped me become a massage therapist, and now a business owner. When we blame our issues on other people, all we're doing is holding ourselves back, not taking responsibility for our own actions. And with that comes self-love. You got to love yourself so you can realize, I did this wrong. I should have made better choices. And here's the beauty of that, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the beauty. I don't care if you're 25 or 65. You can always go back to school. You can always better yourself. Love yourself. Find what you need to be a complete person. And when you do, it's going to come through forgiveness. Forgiving yourself, forgiving those that have held you back in any way, and realizing that you are a beautiful human being, capable of overcoming any obstacle, any monstrous act that has ever happened to you. It will make you stronger. Don't give in to hate. Don't give in to revenge. Don't give in to despair. Give in to loving yourself, forgiving yourself, and make yourself a better person from it. Because as pagans, we will, until we set the examples straight, Christianity and several other religions will always see us as devil worshippers, because that's what they've been programmed to see. But until we start as a people doing things to prove otherwise, that's how we change things. And it starts with forgiving yourself, loving yourself, realizing the past is the past, you're not chained to it. And when you set those chains free, there's nothing that can stop you other than yourself. I don't care if you have a felony, misdemeanors, you were a druggie, you stole from people, you killed people. That was your past. You atone for it, learn from it, and make the best that life has got. Because it's going to be based on your choices. And those choices will ultimately lead you to Summerland. But it starts with love, forgiving yourself, forgiving others, just letting go of the past. Don't forget the past, but let go of it. Break those chains so one day you can be the light that somebody else is going to need you to be. It's going to be a friend, it's going to be a loved one, and it could be even a stranger. Being a pagan or a Wiccan is much more than saying what we are. It is practicing a spiritual truth. We are to be guiding lights so that those that are looking for light can find it. And it's only going to happen through our actions, our deeds, loving ourselves, loving fellow man, setting ourselves free from the things that chain us back, and ultimately realizing we control and shape our future. We are in control of our fate. We're dealt several fates. You might have been born into a poor home. You might have been born rich. Doesn't matter. What you choose to do with that life is what's going to define you, and how it's going to help define others that you end up helping. This is High Priest Star Soul of the Sacred Circle Covens of West Virginia and of the Ericonian tradition. Blessed be.